The People's Platform.
Good evening and welcome to the People's Platform. Equality and non-discrimination are cornerstones of human rights. The pursuit of LGBTIQ rights represents a fundamental aspect of human dignity, rooted in the principle that every individual deserves equal treatment and protection under the law, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression. My guest tonight has spent more than 2 decades advocating for LGBTIQ rights in Sri Lanka, and her relentless advocacy led to a major victory for queer women when, in a landmark decision in 2022, the UN sided with her in a case against Sri Lanka's ban on same-sex intimacy between women, declaring it a human rights violation. Soon after, an MP introduced a private member's bill to decriminalize homosexuality in Sri Lanka. The proposed law's constitutionality was then challenged before the Supreme Court. My guest's organization, Equal Ground, was among those that petitioned by way of an intervenient petition to support the constitutionality of the bill. The court ruled in their favor last year, paving the way for the law to progress in Parliament. My guest tonight also made it to Time magazine's top 100 most influential people just last week. Rosanna Flamer-Caldera, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Firstly, congratulations.
Thank you.
On your work getting internationally recognized. Thank you for over 2 decades of advocacy work. Rosanna, in Sri Lanka, as the law stands, specifically by way of 365 and 365A of the Penal Code, consensual adult same-sex sexual intimacy is criminalized, as a result of which LGBTIQ persons are subjected to disproportionate discrimination and violations. In this backdrop, speak to us about your advocacy journey.
Okay. So I actually started my advocacy journey in 1999, forming or helping to form a women's support group for lesbian, bisexual women and queer women in general. But I soon felt in that time that there wasn't anybody doing anything that much for all members of the LGBTIQ community. There was a lot of intervention on HIV/AIDS, and this intervention on HIV/AIDS also sort of like exacerbated the whole, oh, it's only about sex, that's all they do, and they're spreading diseases and this, so we had to basically change that narrative and change the way that people looked at us and the way they saw us. So we formed Equal Ground in 2004, and we celebrate our 20th anniversary this year, so I'm very proud of that. Mm-hmm. And we started off, by saying that, number one, we needed our LGBTIQ community to feel proud of who they are, to not be scared that they are queer or ashamed that they're queer, because that's all we've been told to feel and experience. Fear, shame, that's it, over and over again. It's, plays a huge part in making people just feel like they have to be invisible, deny their sexuality, go about life pretending to be somebody else all the time. The second part of the equation was that we knew we could never go on this journey alone. We needed allies, straight allies, whatever allies. And the third, of course, is to do our best to decriminalize the laws that you just mentioned and get these off the statute books so that we are not constantly harassed, marginalized, not only in our work, at schools, just standing at a bus stand can be a nightmare. Police come, they want to know why you're standing at there. You're looking to do something else here because you might look effeminate or masculine or whatever. So there's always that issue that when you step out of your house, and sometimes when you're in your house, you're facing adversity to a level which heterosexual people do not have to face on a daily basis.
Rosanna, what kind of progress has Sri Lanka made thus far with respect to LGBTQ rights?
I think it's come a long way. I think if you look at just the thing that you mentioned, that intervening petition that was signed by over 15, 16 people, including many who are very prominent lawyers, prominent human rights activists, straight people, queer people, everybody. Just with that alone, you can see how far we have come, because 20 years ago that would never have happened, you know. And wherever we have gone, we've actually conducted our work in over 20 of the 25 districts in Sri Lanka. And as a result, we see now, especially a sort of like blooming of not only organizations across the country that are working on LGBTIQ rights, but the number of allies and, you know, organizational allies as well as individual allies, corporates, all, you know, getting behind the LGBTIQ community and making space for us now. Just very recently, for example, I know World Bank is an international organization, but they had they put some advertising out asking for LGBTIQ trainees for their programs. Of course, the hate that came onto their Facebook page for doing that is like astounding, really astounding. But I would point to, say, for example, John Keel's Holdings, which was the first organization we approached to do diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings. And now John Keel's has changed their human resources policies. They embrace the LGBTIQ community. In fact, their John Keel's, the one JKH, has rainbow colors on the circle. So, and then there's more organizations as well, corporate organizations coming on board, including this organization as well. So when we have all of those allies pushing for, you know, the recognition of rights for the LGBTIQ community, I think we've come like a phenomenally long way, and we've had a lot of major, you know, what should I say, happy moments, you know, along the way, which, you know, I can celebrate. And certainly just seeing the climate of where we are right now, where we are actually, you know, if we want to meet the Speaker of the House, we actually have gone and met with the Speaker of the House regarding the status of the bill, for example, and so on and so forth. You know, people are talking to us now, which they never wanted to do before.
Also speak to us about the role of the Sri Lanka police as the main law enforcement agency, and how their role has evolved and must further evolve. Yeah,
I mean, the police were the main perpetrators of violence against the LGBTIQ community. I mean, nobody was really safe, and, you know, it's just really a difficult situation. And at one point, they had hired this motivational speaker to give some motivational whatever exercises to the police in Kandy or someplace, I can't remember where. And this person was saying things like, oh, you know, who the most LGBTIQ people are the ones who are targeting your children. They molest your children. They are the worst perpetrators of child abuse in this country. You should make sure that your children don't grow up to be LGBT, and so on. So we decided to, that's a no-no. Now you're pushing our buttons. So we filed suit in the Court of Appeal against the police. And the court ruled in our favor. They basically told the police that they could no longer have this person coming and speaking in the police trainings or anything like that. And the police gave this undertaking to send a circular to all of the police stations across the island, showing how they should behave and how they should treat LGBTIQ persons. When the circular came out, however, it only mentioned transgender persons. So we reopened the case, and just about 2 weeks ago, we finally got the addendum to that, which the police had been told to, you know, get sorted out like a year and a half ago. So we're really happy to have that circular finally including the entire LGBTIQ community. And to tell you the truth, I mean, last year at our Pride Walk, we had so much police protection, especially because there have been some people who were threatening the walk. And so we had a lot of police protection. And I have myself personally, I have had, very good interactions with police, especially OICs of various police stations and, others. So things have changed with the police as well. So I think that's, because police are people that you interact with like quite often, like they're there all over the place. Mm-hmm. So they're a very important cog in the wheel that, allow us now to be who we are without fear.
Rosanna, the bill to decriminalise consensual same-sex relations is currently gazetted before Parliament. Why is there a delay?
Well, I think there's a delay because there's too many political things happening right now, and I don't think there is enough political will to push it through. Mm-hmm. Bottom line is that the bill has been gazetted. It has passed the 6-month period where if there were any objections from the Justice Ministry, they would have had to have sent a report on that. So all that is necessary is for the Speaker to call the House into session to vote for it. And because the Supreme Court has given legitimacy to decriminalisation and also reiterated the fact that it does not need a 2/3 majority in Parliament, it only needs a simple majority. There can be 5 people in the House and 3 people vote for it and 2 people against it, it passes. It's as simple as that, but there is no political will. It's about, I call it the 3-card Monty. Shuffle the pack and see where the, Queen of Spades is. So it's sleight of hand that they're trying to do to make us maybe forget about it or keep it for the next regime or whatever, because now that elections is, on the books as well, we don't know what's holding these things up, yeah?
All right.
There's always something more important than our lives, always, yeah?
We are in conversation with Rosanna Flamer-Caldera. We're going for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
The People's Platform.
TV1. TV for life.
Central Bank reports that the country's economy has started to recover. Multiple factions oppose the proposed electricity bill. Russian and Indian management for Mattala International Airport. US Under Secretary for Trade and Foreign Agricultural Affairs meets President. Ulapane Sumangala Thera and 4 others granted bail.
TV1. TV for life.
Because this impacts every single person living in the country.
All these jokers who completely vehemently opposed it, right? And now saying, no, we are okay with them. We have to work with them. We will work with them.
All the people who have supported him for these corrupt practices have been taken in.
Because sadly, our people in this country now think that this is a protest vote, that all the major 2 parties have failed, and let's give a third party another chance.
Why can't a government officer be entrepreneur as well?
I believe most of political parties don't have internal democracy.
Shakti Crowd.
Shakti Crowd.
Every Saturday and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Tune in to Shakti TV.
People's Platform.
Welcome back. My guest tonight is Rosanna Flamer-Caldera, Executive Director of Equal Ground. Rosanna, beyond the law, when we speak about ensuring and upholding the rights of LGBTIQ persons in Sri Lanka, we have to factor in the fact that Sri Lanka is a shame-based society.
True.
We fear stigmatization. Society oftentimes is so short-sighted and so ready to judge if you are not like the rest of them. In such a backdrop, how must we go about ensuring the protection of the rights of persons who are LGBTIQ? What do we do? What is our role societally?
Well, I think we should try to change the narrative, because I think we feed into this narrative as well, because it might be just a simple thing like "Ayyo, look at her, what is she wearing for that party? Apo." So already we are judging somebody because for whatever reason that person doesn't look like we want them to look, or they look maybe different or whatever. So I think this judgmental, very narrow-minded focus that we have as Sri Lankans, and it's really sad, but it permeates all walks of life, and I think I don't know whether it's island mentality or whether it's based on political brainwashing or whatever it is. I think what we need to do, as I said, is change the narrative and to make sure that everybody is celebrated for who they are, regardless of who they love, regardless whether they're wearing a short skirt or regardless of whether a woman is doing construction work with a hard hat on. Things have to change because the whole world is changing. We can't live in our little isolated island bubble and hope that nobody is looking at us. Everybody is looking at us. We are accomplishing lots of things that the world is now celebrating alongside us. Young lady who is going to space or whatever, bringing huge accolades to our country. But yet we are like, oh, when I received this accolade from Time, one of the things I read was somebody saying, "Oh, isn't she elitist?" What has that got to do with the price of eggs? Yeah, seriously. The work that I do, transcends any kind of race or class or religion or anything. I don't consider myself elitist, but yeah, I consider myself extremely privileged because I come from two parents who brought me up right. Who taught me that everybody deserves a chance to do what they can do. They need to be respected for who they are. Even the person who is cleaning the drains outside or cooking your meal or whatever, you don't look down at them because they are at a lower station than you. They're all human beings, yeah? And that is the ethos that I live in. I don't look at myself as, oh, I've got lots of money, which I don't. I wish I had. But it's not your finances or it's not the color of my skin. I think people also think that I'm a foreigner. Somebody had said something about, why are we looking at people who are from other countries? Yeah. So I think they think that I'm a foreigner because I have white skin. But I'm of a very small minority in this country, which is a burgher. I think that is the whole thing. It's inculcated into our psyches here, and we need to change that narrative. And in order to change that narrative, you have to show them that it's not the right narrative. And we've been doing that for the last 20 years with Equal Ground all over the country. Yeah.
I'd also like your perspectives, Rosanna, on the importance of mainstreaming mental wellness for LGBTIQ persons, especially across Sri Lanka, not just in the towns, but also across villages.
That's right. Yeah.
Because especially children go through so much isolation and so much harm, so much mental agony and trauma because they have no one to talk to and their parents don't know how to advise them. Their parents are also scared of society. So where do they turn to?
So they also have to be educated. Like we have a program for friends and family of LGBTIQ persons. We have a program for allies for equality. And at one point we had this campaign where we asked people to send, a video of them saying, "I am an ally for the LGBTIQ community." And this one gentleman from Jaffna sent a message in Tamil saying, "I'm a proud ally of my gay son." And I was thinking, I still get goosebumps when I relate this story because as far away as that, there are people who accept and there are people who embrace their children regardless of who they love or who they are. And it's as simple as that. As a parent, how can you torture your child to be something that they are not? Yeah, that's as simple as that. Your child needs to grow up in a healthy home where they are loved no matter who they perceive themselves to be or not. So I think that we have I guess it's a cultural thing maybe, that certain communities feel that they can't do these kinds of things, that children should be forced into marriages. I know so many LGBTIQ persons who are forced into marriages because that they feel that they can either cure them of their LGBT or their sexuality. So many different things that people do to actually just make the lives of LGBTIQ people miserable, including in family situations. Yeah.
Sure, and this is mostly due to a lack of awareness.
A lack of knowledge, yeah. And so as I said, it's so important to do all of these things, like to go to those areas and teach people, to talk to people, to make sure that they understand that. And more than anything else, it's for us LGBTIQ persons to stand tall and proud and say, this is me, accept me for who I am, not for who you want me to be.
Rosanna, I'd like to bring in the state into this discourse. Training and sensitization are key components of any functioning society that needs to function in the best interests of society and all of its peoples. LGBTIQ persons need to feel included. Their dignity needs to be protected and mainstreamed. And the Sri Lankan state has a key responsibility and role to do that by training their officers, by training the police, by training the government department officers. How must this be done? Is this being done?
Well, some of it is being done. Some of it has been done by us. Some of it is being done by other organizations. We have targeted, for example, local government, which is where people rise to become parliamentarians eventually and politicians eventually. And so we have, trained young politicians and young, Pradeshya Sabha, that kind of level individuals to talk about being LGBTIQ and what it means and so on and so forth. We did a mapping study several years ago of how many LGBTIQ persons there really is. Between the ages of 18 and 65, the percentage is 12% of the population of Sri Lanka. If you look at, so that's the voting, supposedly the voting age, 18 to 65, and of course older as well. And 12% of the population is a pretty large number of people. It's a pretty large number of votes as well. So it's one thing saying you want their vote, but it's another thing when you marginalize them for being who they are. You can't have it both ways, You have to embrace the fact that they are citizens of this country and they need to be treated with dignity and respect. Who they love and what they do in their bedroom is none of anybody's business, as long as they're not harming anybody. So I think the state really needs to get their act together at some point. But the problem is that homophobia is used by the state to marginalize. Racism is used by the state to marginalize and split the country because they seem to thrive on this. Their job is to unify this country. Their job is to make this country successful and stand out like a beacon for everybody. People are leaving in droves, from this country. What does that say of our, political system? It has failed, and it continues to fail, especially the LGBTIQ community.
Rosanna, my final question to you. Collective action is key. We are all stakeholders in ensuring and enabling LGBTIQ rights are upheld and ensured, that the laws are brought, the policies are properly implemented, that non-discrimination and equality are upheld. How do you see this paradigm playing out?
Well, we do programs with corporates. It's called, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because companies have found that it is not economically sound for them to leave out 12% of the community, of the population of this country, mainly based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. All across the globe, policies are being made for inclusion, for diversity, because we bring a lot to the table, but we are being shut out from bringing that to the table. So where does that leave everyone else, Because a lot of people are leaving Sri Lanka now, and we are going to be finding ourselves more and more in need of really good people to push this country forward. So isn't it time that we just took our biases, packed it in a little, container and put it in the do not recycle bin, Because we are just cutting off our noses to spite our own faces when we are collectively marginalizing a community based on, their sexual orientation, gender identity, expression. It's quite ridiculous because, we don't tell you what to do in your bedroom. Why are you telling us why we shouldn't do what we do in our bedroom? It's kind of petty and stupid. So, and we are embracing a law that was brought 140 years ago by the British. And we're not only embracing it, we're sometimes even making it worse, like in 1995, where the Old Buggery Act was changed because the Justice Minister at that time felt that it was gender biased. So they took the word male out and then included all the LGBTIQ community, including 2 women. So this is why I took it to the UN and made a complaint there. So my feeling is that we are so busy judging others that we are not going about our business to make this country whole again, to make this country the dynamic country that it could be, because we are blessed with all kinds of natural resources. We have a paradise island, but it's certainly not paradise for the LGBTIQ community, that's for sure. In conclusion, all I want to say is that, we have come a long way. There's still a long way to go, but I think we have achieved quite a lot in the 20 years that we have been pushing really ardently for rights with our organization, Equal Ground. And I'm really heartened to say that, there are so many other organizations that have now started up since 2017. We were working alone for a long, long time, so I'm glad that they're all on board to push the agenda and show people that, we are capable of doing things. And certainly the Time 100, that I rest on that one,
All right, fabulous. Rosanna Flamer-Caldera, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you for watching us. Good night.